AMA Chevy Trucks U.S. Motocross Championships. Well, after a week of rain, promoter Jonathan Beasley has once again rescued the Budds Creek course. It should be fantastic for this afternoon's 250cc Yamaha National Motocross Championships. Hi, I'm Davey Coombs, and this afternoon we are in Budds Creek, Maryland for the 5th round of what's turned out to be the Ricky Carmichael show. The big question is, can Carmichael be beaten? Well, we asked Ricky himself, and he said yes, and he doesn't have to look very far for the guy either.
Tortelli. So, you know, this is a more European-style track. He's going to be good this weekend, and Redbud. He's awesome at Redbud, and that's my main race I'm focusing on.
Joining me in the booth is former champion David Bailey. David, tell us about this Budds Creek track.
Well, as you already pointed out, Davey, the rain came along and made this track perfect. It was a little bit muddy yesterday, but it's perfect right now. It may get a little rutted towards the end, and what Ricky Carmichael was talking about as far as this being to the advantage of Tortelli is it's wide, it's fast, it's got a lot of ruts. Tortelli does well in the ruts. The track's also running in the opposite direction it was last year.
For a closer look with our Suzuki Fast Lap, here's Cameron Steele.
Well, I'm here in the AMA merchandise tent. What are all these guys doing? You guys want to win my bike? Yeah, they want to win the bike. Come down here, sign up. You can win it. The Sobe Suzuki I ride the Suzuki Fast Lap on. It's available to you. You can win it at the end of Steel City. We're going to be giving it away. I think that's kind of cool. What's really cool is I get to ride Budds Creek. The dirt looks perfect, but there are some off-camber turns out there. So you guys on the couch, no throwing rocks, no talking trash. And Davey Coombs, I'm coming for you at Steel City, so you better be ready. And right now, it's time for the Suzuki Fast Lap. Pick it up here at the end of the long downhill, just after the finish area. Kelly Smith getting the inside of me. Little tabletop. Got a hard right, set up for table. Really slippery on the inside. Kelly running away. Nice little whipper jump. See the line, the outside line. That's a fast line. Another little double. More off camber. Can't tell, it's kind of hard. Slippery. Getting past me on the inside, and this is the toughest one on the course. Hard right, back uphill, very loose. You can see bikes all over the place, sliding around some tracks. Little setup jump into another off camber. It's gonna take you off a little double. And you wanna get on the gas, hold it as long as you can. I like the inside, not as many ruts, but see this guy apexing the outside, getting past me. Then a big double. Will he do it? I'm not gonna. Check it out. Oh! Yeah! He gets over the big double. We'll see if I get it later, maybe. Little left turn. We're headed back towards Henry's Hill. Little setup table. This is the valley. One more setup jump. Lots of ruts. A little mushy. This is the big one Doug Henry flew off of. Check it. Ah! And that's your Suzuki Fast Lap.
Well, thanks, Cameron. Keep practicing. Now our Suzuki starting lineup, Ricky Carmichael at the top of the leaderboard, Tim Ferry, Sebastian Tortelli. I'm not going to let him talk trash on me, David.
I know. I'm staying away from you guys, man. I don't want any part of it.
I'm going to put a headlight on my bike for Steel City, then we'll see.
Hey, I'm just jealous, man. He gets to go out and ride this track, and it's perfect today.
Now, down on the starting gate, our first 250 National Moto, a concrete starting pad. They'll probably come off at second gear, then it's a short sprint down the inside to a hairpin corner, and they have to take the foot off the brake. Always a lot of pileups here at Budds Creek. The gate is dropped, and here they come up the middle, and it looks like it is Carmichael, and then a rider goes down the outside, and that's Kevin Klein, a privateer, and a few other riders. So it's Carmichael out front, Klein hitting the dirt hard. Tim Ferry is second, then Ezra Lusk, Guy Cooper, the 40-year-old KTM rider, and then Sean Hamlin riding out the top 5.
This is exactly the start in the scenario that Tim Ferry wanted in the last round of Southwick. He goes, if I can just get off the line with Carmichael, I think I can run with him.
Now down the bottom of the screen, you saw Lusk able to outgas Hamlin and take over third. So right now you have your big three as far as this championship has been going lately. Carmichael out in front, Ferry in second, Ezra Lusk in third. And then you have to go back a ways to find Mike LaRocco, who came back at the last round at Southwick, got third in the first moto, and just couldn't complete the second moto with that wrist injury. He's hoping to go both motos this afternoon.
Looks like he may. He's got to be getting a little bit stronger. Southwick is a much rougher racetrack than we're seeing so far right here. And a great comeback for Hamlin after dropping out of one of those motos at Southwick. And look at that, Tortelli, number 13, finally going by. He's got the speed to run up front, but if he can't get that start, there's just no way this year in this day and age against these guys who can make up that ground.
Kind of the same thing we're seeing in the 125 class, David. Chad Reed can't get off the gate. James Stewart taking off. In the same scenario here, it's a guy from Florida pulling out front. The international challenger not getting off that concrete start.
Look at the way that these guys are on the power so hard. And that was a beautiful pass Russ put on Hamblin on that off-camber early on. He needs to be more aggressive like that in the early going to try to hang with his guys. And you can see that they, even though he's riding that hard, they're still inching away.
The track sets up nicely after the rainstorm. Going over the big 7-11 Gulf. That was Carmichael. Now here's another look at the start, David.
Well, Carmichael's got it all handled on the inside there. But watch the guy in the blue right in the center. He can't quite lean into the corner. He leans into the guy in the Honda right there, and that just started a domino effect. And Crime really went end over end right there off to the right. Too bad for those guys that they're not hurt. They've still got a lot of work to do to catch this pass.
Ricky Carmichael out front. He has won the 250 national here the last 2 years. He also won the 125 class a couple times. The only time he lost was in the mud. When we come back, we will see if anyone can catch number 4.
The biggest names in motocross and off-road racing have an even bigger name under them, Suzuki. Do you want to be the next big name? Get on a Suzuki RM or DRZ today.
This is Silverado Heavy Duty, with the most towing capacity of any heavy-duty pickup. Silverado Heavy Duty. More truck. From Chevy.
Long ago, when the gift of fire came to Earth, the first keepers of the flame emerged. They were the ones who nurtured it and preserved it, and they passed this learning along. And so, the tradition continues. The flame burns on, at least for another 10,000 years. Char-Broil, keepers of the flame.
Sunday, a supercharged night of baseball on ESPN. At 7, the exclusive announcement of the team rosters, the All-Star Selection Show. At 8, the Mets take the Subway Series to the Bronx. Sunday night, starting at 7, only on ESPN.
Speedworld's presentation of AMA Motocross is brought to you by Honda, the company that defines performance in motorcycles, ATVs, and scooters. Honda, performance first. And by Suzuki, maker of innovative motorcycles and all-terrain vehicles. Well, we are back in Budds Creek, Maryland for the Yamaha National, and you're watching the battle for 5th place between Moto XXX privateer Kyle Lewis and Factory Connections Mike LaRocco. A couple of big 450 Hondas, David.
They're making a lot of noise back there behind Hamblin. He can hear them, that's for sure. And Lewis is doing an amazing job, but LaRocco is determined to get around it.
And right there, he looks like he gave up the inside, and just like that, LaRocco goes by.
Tortelli's back there with nowhere to go, getting roosted so hard, he's not going to have any vision if he can't get around these guys the next couple of laps. He's pulling tearaways right and left.
Down off the big speed jump. Look how wide and fast this track is. You can also see it rutting up down through the middle. Now here comes Tortelli on the inside, and Lewis gets on the gas. It just straightens it out and pulls away a little bit.
That's the problem. Tortelli gets close to these guys all in the tight corners, but as soon as they grab a handful of that big 450 four-stroke power, not only does he get a face full of dirt, but they open up that gap again.
And Lewis gets a little bit off to the side there, opens the door for Tortelli, and right off Henry Hill, Tortelli makes the pass.
That was smart for Lewis to just give up that position because Tortelli is determined to get around him just like LaRocco was. Now he can learn a little bit from these guys. Maybe be able to get him back by the end of the race, but Tortelli is is riding hard. He's trying to catch it up through the pack, but still, Carmichael leading the series, just pulling away and opening up a bigger gap into points. LaRocco squaring off that corner behind the tree, jumps into the front of the line of Lewis. And then Lewis getting a little offline, Davey, like you said, looks over and gives up another position to Tortelli. But no reason why he can't hang with these guys and try to put a pass right back on him at the finish.
Now LaRocco and Tortelli starting to gain on the Sobe Suzuki of Sean Hamblin. Hamblin always getting good starts, and you know, once again, he looks a lot like Travis Pastrana.
He sure does. And I'll tell you what helps so much is the fact that not just because he's on that factory Suzuki, but the fact that Travis is 199, he's 99. He switched over to the no fear gear once he got the ride, and he's using those hand guards.
Of course, local hero Travis Pastrana from nearby Annapolis, Maryland, is still on the sidelines with that broken wrist. So Travis has never actually won his home national in his 3 years as a pro, and today he's here with a cast on the sidelines.
You know, we talked about how Brock Sellers in the 125 class had that Epstein-Barr virus. Travis has been fighting illnesses and been sick off and on for so long, for years, 5, 6 years now. He's not been able to get healthy. So I look at this wrist injury as a kind of a blessing in disguise, really, to get him to get the rest he needs so he can come back totally healthy and do what he's really capable of.
Well, when we come back to the Yamaha National Budge Creek, we will see if Tim Ferry and Ezra Luss can catch our leader, Ricky Carmichael.
From the minds that brought you the Hayabusa and GSXR sport bikes comes the all-new Quad Sport Z400. Is it still showing off if no one's around to see you?
He's not showing.
I could make a speech. My fellow car people.
Where is he? His limo wouldn't start.
Yeah, his security team checked everything but the battery.
Guess they didn't know summer heat kills car batteries.
Energizer batteries from Pep Boys. They get everyone's vote.
Politicians would love to have the approval ratings Energizer does.
Bet he'll make it a new policy to get all their car batteries from Pep Boys.
Pep Boys, we're car people.
This weekend, Saturday, U.S. team standout Clint Mathis makes his return to the Metro Stars as they face the Revolution. Then at 7:30, Gilles de Ferran looks to maintain momentum and catch teammate and fellow countryman Helio Castroneves in IRL racing action. On Sunday at 7, find out who's playing in this year's All-Star Game as rosters are announced on the Major League Baseball All-Star Selection Show. And on Sunday Night Baseball, Round 2 of the Battle of New York as Mike Piazza and the Mets battle Jason Giambi and the Yankees on ESPN.
That all men are by nature equally free and independent and have certain inherent rights. Namely, the enjoyment of life, liberty, and happiness. That all power is vested in and consequently derived from the people. That no free government or the blessing of liberty can be
For the most important vacation in history, visit Colonial Williamsburg. Call 1-800-HISTORY.
Moo. For a super deal on a computer, just call 1-800-GATEWAY. Because right now you can get a Gateway 300 SE desktop fully loaded with an Intel Celeron processor, 128 megabytes of memory, and a monitor, all for just $5.99. Plus, for a limited time, we'll even include a free CD burner. But hurry, this deal won't last forever, so call 1-800-GATEWAY today. That's 1-800-GATEWAY.
Welcome back to Budds Creek, Maryland. You're watching the battle for fourth between Sean Hamblin, Mike LaRocco, and Sebastian Tortelli up around the mechanics area. And LaRocco is the first one to come out of the corner, and there goes Tortelli. So just like that, the rookie loses 2 spots to the veterans.
Oh, these factory Honda guys are just picking on him right now, but I like the fact that he gets back in there and fights with them. It's not like he goes, you know, oh well, they got me. He tries to get back in there and race and learn, and sooner or later it's going to take them longer to get around, or they may not.
Well, at the age that Hamblin is in, every second he spends behind those guys is a lesson.
Yes, and if he can stay close to them a little longer, he'll learn a little bit more and get used to the rhythm that they have. Everything's a rhythm and a flow. right there he needs to jump in for, but he blew the corners. And already you can see just one mistake, those guys inch away, another about 10 or 15 bike lengths.
Now Tortelli trying to get after Mike LaRocco. They are battling for 4th spot. Up front, Ricky Carmichael's our leader, then Tim Ferry and the Kawasaki of Ezra Lusk.
You tell that the pace that these guys are running is a little bit on the edge. They're going as hard as they can go. Tortelli really trying to keep up with LaRocco on that 450. Getting sideways and making mistakes. Going up the hill a moment ago, both feet off the peg, still wouldn't let off, or he'd give up too much space to Mike.
Of course, this afternoon here at Budds Creek, Tortelli is having to carry the French tricolors by himself. His countryman David Billeman of the Yamaha team is back in France, having an old injury looked at, and Stefan Rancada continues to have trouble with his ankle. He is also on the sidelines.
While we watch these guys battle, they're nowhere near Carmichael out front. And that Ricky, I mean, Davey, have you ever seen anything like that? Probably Bob Hanna going back in the 250 class in was 78. He ran off about 10 in a row, and Ricky's approaching that record.
You weren't bad in the 500 Nationals in 1984, if I may say so.
Actually, it's funny you bring that up, because right now, if he wins this moto, that'll be 9 in a row, and that's what I had coming into Mount Morris when I finally lost to Glover.
Well, go Ricky.
Oh, thanks. But go Cameron then.
Oh. You know, looking back in the record book, Mike LaRocco actually won the 250 National here all the way back in 1994. But he's not the oldest guy to win Budds Creek on this racetrack today. Guy Cooper won a 125 National here back in 1991. And he's out here racing for points, but not at the pace Mike LaRocco is.
No, you got to give him credit for getting out there and doing as well as he has. And he's running up that. This might be one of his best motos of the year so far. This is Hamlin going up into the mechanics area. They do a little step up here into a 180-degree left-hand corner, and LaRocco was all over that corner. Just blasted through there, went right around him. Hamlin's still kind of going, man, what happened there? And while he's still thinking about that, Tortelli just shoots down the hill to the inside. Beautiful line. Good thinking by Tortelli right there to pick up that spot.
Now we move ahead in the field to Ezra Lusk on the Chevy Trucks Kawasaki. He is riding in 3rd. He's got Tim Ferry in front of him, and then a little ways further ahead than that is Carmichael.
You know, I used to hate being in the position that Lusk is in right now. Nobody to really catch. Pretty big gap up to 2nd and a pretty big gap behind him. He's sort of in limbo right there, wishing he had a little closer start to those. Actually, he did, but they just got away from him in the early laps.
Here you can get a sense of the distance Carmichael's ahead. He already left the picture, then a couple lap riders, and then next comes Tim Ferry. Ferry was able to kind of keep touch with him in a little while there at the beginning, David, but Carmichael is just riding flawlessly.
Well, he just breaks your heart. He takes away all your hopes right in the early going, because Ferry was right there with him. Carmichael pulled out to about a 4.5, 5-second lead and held it there just to test Ferry. And Ferry was able to match that, and so Ricky turned it up a little bit more and just broke his spirit.
LaRocco continuing to do a good job of holding off Tortelli. Not bad for a guy in his 30s who's been sitting out for most of the year.
Yeah, it's really tough to come back at this pace. You know, I mean, he practiced, and during a week off, he rode at Redbud, which will be the site of the next national. He rode all 3 classes just to get some time on the bike, but nothing can compare to this pace. And he jumped right back in at Southwick and ran it.
There you see Tortelli. Looks like he's starting to get a little frustrated, trying to find a line around the big factory connection Honda of Mike LaRocco.
LaRocco was already hard enough to pass. You know, he's not going to give up a position. He's tough. He goes faster and faster as the race goes on, a quality that Tortelli possesses as well. But now you put LaRocco on that more powerful bike, and it makes it even harder to pass.
In the back section, Tortelli continuing to apply the pressure. Now this is where he passed Kyle Lewis down on the inside. At this point, it's just a drag race, and Tortelli gets him. He even takes time to get a tear-off off that helmet.
Now he worked so hard for that, and that's been working for him. He squares that corner at the beginning of that long straightaway through the valley there. Kind of hits the left side of the jump, stays low, gets the power to the ground earlier, and he just, rider on the outside just has to give it up to him or else fly way too far down that hill. And after seeing what Doug Henry did, nobody wants to do that.
David, let's take a closer look at Tortelli's pass at LaRocco.
Well, he sets it up beautiful coming out of the left, gets the power to the ground. Look at the rooster tail. He leads, he lands. Has the inside line, the shorter distance, cleans his vision a little bit because LaRocco's been clouding it up. And he just has a better line at the approach of this jump. You see those little bumps that he was hitting right there before he took off in the air. Those are the little bumps that that Doug Henry hit back in '95 and got a little out of shape, grabbed the throttle instead of the brakes right there and flew all the way to the bottom.
You mentioned a rooster tail, David. Is that old school for roost?
That's old school. Yeah, I couldn't think of what else to say in the moment there, but you could see the burnout, the dust, the roost, whatever you want to call it.
Back up front, Ricky Carmichael just gliding around this track. As we've seen in the wet and in the dry, he's just on top of his game, out front, complete control. And there you see on the sideline Steve Lamson, and that is the international signal that this thing is not running.
That's too bad. He's down the bottom of that valley.
Oh, and Tortelli is down. Sebastian Tortelli also goes down. That's going to shake things up. Worked so hard to get around Larocco, and down he goes.
That's just killing him. He's watching his title slip away right now, and his focus is not there. And he's made a lot of mistakes today.
Let's go down to Cameron Steele. He has got an update on Sean Hamlin.
Well, guys, from down here in the pits, it looks like obviously some kind of shock problem with Sean Hamlin, the new factory Sobe Suzuki rider. Definitely a disappointing time for Sean. Was sitting there, and I believe in 6th place. He's going to be leaving the track with a DNF and no points. A tough way to go off the track here at Budds Creek.
Well, as we've seen time and again, the bad luck going everyone else's way, but this man, Ricky Carmichael, well on his way to his 9th straight moto win.
One thing I can figure that's gone wrong for him is his jersey came untucked. Other than that, it's been flawless. He's just started to pull away now from Tim Ferry. And this should be 9 in a row for him, which is just incredible. He could actually do the unthinkable and win every single moto this year.
Now, this is not a replay of earlier in the race. Tortelli is having to come up and pass Kyle Lewis once again. Tortelli had worked his way up through the 4th, got around Larocco as well as Kyle Lewis. And then, oh, and he fell down again. Sebastian Tortelli down for the 2nd time, and that time, David, he could have been really hurt.
Yeah, his focus isn't there, Davey. And the thing that really bothers me is that I know that Tortelli works so hard. He just goes off the jump right there. He does what we call a seat bounce. I don't think he really meant to. He was sitting towards the back of the seat, though, and looked like he was trying to scrub with the brakes a little bit, and made it even worse. Just pitched him on the nose, and he went over the side. Luckily, he fell off to the side of the bike. That thing would have driven him over the front. He would have hit his head, and he'd still be there.
There you just saw Carmichael approaching Henry Hill out front. Tim Ferry not too far behind here on the last lap, but nowhere close enough to make a bid for this win.
Yeah, but I like the fact that he's still charging. You know, it's not like he gave up. He kept charging, but he didn't have the speed to really challenge Ricky, but he's going as fast as he can anyway, so that Ricky will at least know, hey, if I ease up some, he's still back there.
David, the only real challenge we've seen Ricky Carmichael get this year came from Stefan Roncada. It lasted about a lap and ended up in the hay bales.
That pretty much ruined Roncada's drive, too. I mean, Ricky just ended that little confrontation right there. And, you know, Ricky got in there and made a pretty aggressive move to make that contact in the first place, which I can see why Roncada was mad, but then Ricky was just over the fact that Roncada did his same little block and looked over stuff and just parked him, and that's the end of Roncada's series.
Well, no one's challenged Carmichael since. And once again, the checkered flag for Ricky Carmichael. That is 9 motos in a row.
Now the time has come.
It's summer. Time to buy a Honda. Because right now you can ride off with any new Honda for $29 a month for the first 6 months. That's any Honda, $29 a month. Just in time for summer. Plus, you can get up to $600 in bonus bucks on select models. Imagine any Honda for $29 a month. See why this summer is red hot at your Honda dealer before time runs out.
This is Silverado Heavy Duty. Available with the Duramax diesel. The most powerful diesel you can get in a pickup. Silverado Heavy Duty. More truck from Chevy.
Hey, making a click call? Just dial down the center with 1-800-CALLATT. It's free for you and cheap for them. What do you say we bail?
Save on every call. Use 1-800-CALL-ATT for collect calls.
The ESPY's in Hollywood. Come on!
It's so much fun.
It's the 10th Annual ESPY Awards, hosted by Samuel L. Jackson, with live performances by Snoop Dogg, Bootsy Collins, the original P-Funk, and Carlos Santana. Wednesday, July 10th, 9 p.m. on ESPN.
I'm Jay Moore, and if you missed more sports last week, this is what you missed.
It looks fantastic. It feels fantastic, Reverend Al.
He's tough, yet sensitive. More sports kicks off the block with D.L. Hughley, Tuesday, 8 Eastern on ESPN.
For motocross superstar Doug Henry, Budds Creek was a track that served him well, at least in the hard luck department. In 1995, while riding for Team Honda, Henry flew off the biggest jump on the track and crashed about 75 feet later. The result was a broken back that would have ended the career of most riders. As a result of it, though, Henry spent 1996 recuperating, and by 1997, he was back on the circuit. However, bad luck struck him once again at Budds Creek, as this time he broke both of his wrists while attempting the 711 catapult jump. But in 1998, Henry was back again, and no one could have blamed him if he had tiptoed around the Budds Creek track. But that's not Doug Henry's style. He chased teammate Kevin Windham the entire moto and finished second. Moto number 2, though, was a different story. Windham again held the lead, but this time Henry ran him down for the overall win. After missing most of 3 seasons as a result of crashes at Budds Creek, Henry was back on top at the track that had knocked him out of so many championship chases. A remarkable display of talent, and most of all of courage. That's what champions are made of. That's what Doug Henry is all about. Well, back to Budds Creek this afternoon. Cameron Steele is down in the winner's circle with our current champion.
Well, Ricky, the reign of terror continues for all the other riders. Another win here in moto number 1.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Cameron. It was a good ride. The Honda's working awesome. I got a killer start. The whole shot. Can't ask for something better than that. But I'll tell you, Red Dog Tim Ferry was riding good out there, and he kept me on my game. There's no room for mistakes, that's for sure.
A lot of people have been speculating if Timmy or Sebastian, one of the other guys, gets a great start and has the opportunity to race with you. It might actually be a race, but you proved it. You had the speed, you pulled away a bit, and you had a fair distance here at the checkered flag.
Yeah, I had a good distance there, you know, midway, and at the end I slowed down a little bit in the last couple laps, but I feel good. The bike's working excellent, and need to go out and do it the second moto. You know, it's going to be a good race. Timmy's riding really good today.
Congratulations. We'll see you in Moto 2.
Thanks a lot.
Well, Cameron Steele had it right. It is a reign of terror for Ricky Carmichael and his fire engine red Honda. And speaking of Honda, let's go to this week's Honda Tech Tip.
Hi, I'm Ron Wood with this week's Honda Tech Tip. This week's tip involves bleeding your front forks. It's very important to do this after every moto. You do this by unscrewing the small cap in the front of your forks and letting all the air come out. Once the air comes out, you screw the cap back in. This keeps your suspension nice and plush and even after every moto. It's important to do this often. I'm Ron Wood with this week's Honda Tech Tip.
Well, taking a glance at our results from the first moto here at the Yamaha National at Budds Creek, Ricky Carmichael, your winner, Tim Ferry in second, Ezra third, Sebastian Tortelli crashed twice, but still somehow managed to get up and finish sixth. Now, Cameron Steele is with our runner-up, Tim Ferry, down in the winner's circle.
Well, Timmy, a lot of people have been looking forward to that battle, Tim Ferry and Ricky Carmichael. It came true here in moto number 1. Tell us what went down.
You know, both of us got really good starts. You know, my force stroke come out of the gate really good, and you know, it's a good change for me. I've been having some really bad starts, and that was the race I was looking for. And you know, I didn't beat them, but you know, I didn't lose by 30 seconds like I have been. You know, and I'm slowly you know, closing that gap, and I pretty much kept him, you know, I think honest the whole time, you know, where he can you know, relax like he normally does.
It definitely seems like your pace is quite even with him, just a little bit more. And think maybe in Moto 2 you might be able to get this overall win?
You know, I feel really good. You know, conditioning-wise, I feel fine. You know, he had a few laps where he kind of got a little bit of distance on me, and then kind of kept it right around five seconds or so the whole race. And you know, he's good at the beginning of the motos. That's something I'm still working on, and it's definitely an improvement from all the rest of the races so far this year.
Right on. We look forward to the battle in Moto 2.
Yeah, you know, I hope to come out on top. You know, I'm just gonna try to get a good start, but a Yamaha up front.
All right, we'll see you then.
Thanks.
Taking a look at some upcoming dates on the U.S. Motocross schedule. Red Bud, Ken Worthy's in Unadilla. For more, log on to usmotocross.com. Now, let's go back to Cameron. He's with Ezra Lusk.
Well, Ezra, you're getting to be quite a fixture up here on the podium.
Well, that's our goal, consistency and just improving my performances, and that's what we've been working on. And we figured I had to start up there and just get thrown right in the mix to be able to get faster. And I think if I can improve my outdoor performances like I've been doing recently, then I think Supercross is going to be a little bit easier for me.
Well, everybody says Supercross is a little easier for Ezra Lusk. You've won there. I think you want to win here. Third place in Moto number 1 puts you in position. You could win the overall here today.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to win for sure, or bad, but I got to be realistic. I'm trying to improve my pace. I'm trying to get faster and faster each week, and right now I'm just still a little bit off the pace, and I really have to work on that. Try to get my lines better, try to flow in the corners, and just the whole outdoor scene period. I just got to work on it a little bit, but I'm hoping we're going to get there soon.
You look smooth out there, Ezra. We'll see you in Moto 2.
Thanks a lot.
Now, taking a look at the Women's Motocross League action, that is Jessica Patterson dicing with Sarah Whitmore, who hails from Michigan. These two girls were going at it all day long, but in the end, with a 1-5, Steffi Bow takes this round of the WML Series. Well, when we come back, we will meet the real Junkyard Dog.
There's never been any doubt as to which bikes dominate the sport of Supercross. Honda's CR125R and CR250R. Ricky Carmichael, 250 Supercross champion. Travis Preston, 125 West Supercross champion. For Honda, that's 21 AMA Supercross titles. Champions ride red.
Oh, come on, let's get this guy. It's got to be over 100 degrees out there. You have any idea what that does to an engine?
Need a motor oil for hot temperatures? We developed one. Pennzoil Synthetic resists thinning to protect engines in hot summer conditions.
Try that after the sun goes down.
Pennzoil. We're driving protection.
Oh, that's brisk, baby. Cut! What's the problem?
There's a new Lipton brisk that tastes so good it sells itself.
So? So you puppets are fired. Nobody fires DeVito. I don't care how good it tastes.
The puppet community is up in arms today over the unexpected firing of the much-beloved Lipton characters.
Off the record, we should be fired. The stuff sells itself.
Oh, that's the story here. New brisk tastes so good, it sells itself.
Warning. This movie is so exhilarating. It can only be seen in IMAX theaters and other large format cinemas.
Now, the ultimate movie with the ultimate thrills is on the ultimate big screen. ESPN's Ultimate X.
This guy's crazy.
Rated PG, now playing at IMAX theaters and large format cinemas. Check local listings.
Hey everybody, this is John Dowd. I'm here with my family. We're here at Vehicle Day at the school. And this is my son Ryan, my daughter Callie, and my wife Trish. And after we're done looking at all the neat vehicles here, we're going to give you a little tour of the town. This is my house. It's a little bit small, but you know, I've decided to stay here. You know, we have some bigger and better plans, but this house is kind of a special place for me. I've actually lived in this exact house since I was 2 years old. This is my gym, my exercise room. this is where I spend a lot of my time. You know, aside from riding the motorcycle, this is probably where I spend this is probably the next and most important place for me to be. Things are a little tight again at the same house here, but you know, we are working on a new house, and someday I hope to get, when I get done with that house, I have already plans for, you know, for a nice trophy case in the workout room of my new house with the bike and some of my favorite trophies and stuff like that. This here is the real junkyard dog. Well, here we are. This is the infamous junkyard. This is basically where my nickname Junkyard stems from. You know, this is pretty much where I grew up. My dad owned this business since I was born, I guess. And I mean, this was a pretty neat place when you were a kid. I remember running around here and jumping around in the cars and just having a ball. So pretty much where the junkyard comes from. Well, here we are at Dowd Court. This has been a project of mine. About 3 years ago, I purchased this land back here, and it's been kind of a neat little endeavor. You know, I did a lot of the work myself, clearing the trees, bulldozing the dirt and everything, and built this road here. And we're also building a house up on the end here, one of the lots up on the end of the street. And that's pretty much what I've been doing in my spare time, other than racing. But it's been a lot of fun. This is what keeps me busy, other than going, you know, I don't really go fishing or stuff like that too much. This keeps me pretty busy at home, but we're excited. We can't wait to move in. We're going to be moving in the fall. And I guess that's about it. I'd just like to say thanks for joining us. And this is the Junkyard Dog saying, see you at the races.
I get the feeling we'll never see John down at the X Games. Now let's take a behind-the-scenes look at Budds Creek with the Racer X Pit Pass.
All-American Budds Creek.
Look it looks worse.
Well, there you see the VIP area high above Budds Creek Raceway, Scott USA's Bevo 40, talking to Tim Ferry's dad. And right now they might be talking about how does anyone catch Ricky Carmichael.
Got to beat him off the start and push him hard, make him ride a little bit outside of his comfort zone. Just take him out of his rhythm altogether. Maybe get in there and make a little contact with him.
Taking a look at our Suzuki starting lineup, you see that Sean Hamlin will be back in the field. We found out that he dropped out because of a broken shock on the Sobe Suzuki. And of course, Mike LaRocco, Kyle Lewis, John Dowd, the rest of the field, everyone chasing after number 4. The cart is sideways. The gate is getting ready to drop on the second moto, the Yamaha National, and here they come right up the start. It looks like LaRocque. No, it's Carmichael again. Carmichael with the lead, couple riders going down, and it's Tim Ferry, the Yamaha of Tim Ferry. Wow, what a bad break for Ferry.
And a good one once again for Carmichael, and it looked like Carmichael had a little hiccup as it went around that first corner, and it caused a chain reaction. It may have caused Ferry to go down.
And once again, Ricky comes out smelling like a rose in second place. Number 73, Damian Plotz. He's a privateer from Pennsylvania. And then it looked like LaRocco coming up right behind them. And Hamlin actually goes in second. That was Kyle Lewis who we saw behind them. So it's Carmichael, Hamlin, Plotz, Kyle Lewis. A little gap back to Guy Cooper, 40 years old, and doing a fine job on that 540 KTM.
He is. This is a great start. He's still up in there. And the fact that so many riders are missing, Roncado's missing, Villeman, Travis Pastrana, Kevin Windham, and Tim Ferry clear back in last place. Tortelli with a bad start. It's privateer heaven up front.
And it's also Ricky heaven. As you see in the very back of the pack, there's Tim Ferry dropping the Yamaha on the first turn. He was the only guy that could even keep Carmichael in sight. and it's going to be impossible to catch up to the number 4 Honda in a field like this. David, what happened?
Well, watch number 4 right in the center. Well, as soon as he gets into the corner, it seems like he has a little hesitation. He gets sideways right there, and a rider behind him gets sideways trying to miss him, and that causes Ferry to go down.
That was John Dowd who hooked Ricky's back tire and started the chain reaction. And Ferry, the only one out of 40 riders to go down, and the only one that was on Carmichael's pace in the first moto. And now, as you can see, look at the lead he's already built up here in the first lap at Budds Creek.
And, you know, nothing against Hamblin and Lewis, but those guys aren't quite the caliber of Carmichael, and hardly anybody is, but especially those guys being privateers and not really having the confidence Ricky does. Of course, he's going to have a huge lead and an easy day.
Taking a look at Guy Cooper. We mentioned last week how Doug Henry showed up at the local race at Southwick in the back of his pickup truck. Well, Cooper came all the way from Oklahoma to Maryland to ride this race. Guy Cooper just really enjoying his life as a privateer motocross rider. And right here you'll see what happened. This was the first moto. When Cooper went down, he got too far on the outside into that soft mud they pushed off to the side. Down he went, almost got hit by LaRocco. Cost him any good finish he could have had in the first moto.
Looked like as they went for the bike, he was limping just a little bit. Look at that.
And Kyle Lewis flat out on the gas goes by the Suzuki of Hamblin, so Lewis moves into second place.
Hamblin, like we talked about, look at him fight. He's fighting. He almost gets back into the rear tile, putting the pressure on Kyle Lewis. Just keeping him in check, making sure he can hold on to that pass. These guys are pretty equally matched. But there you go, Hamblin looking back. That's not a good sign, and he blows the berm, too.
Same thing happened, same spot in the last moto. You can't learn anything off these guys if you can't see them.
Hamblin getting a little bit wide at the bottom of the hill. And Lewis all over it, puts that power to the ground, wheelies right out in front of him. I don't think Hamblin really was stoked about that. There was no dirty riding or anything there, but Hamblin's going, all right, right back at you. He tried to square him off at the top of the hill, but he's already starting to lose some ground. Now he's got to deal with LaRocco, and that's not going to be easy.
You got to think that Kyle Lewis probably has a little extra incentive when someone like Sean Hamlin passes him. Hamlin's a rookie, got a factory ride, but Lewis has spent his entire career as a privateer. He went to Japan, he won 3 national championships, won a few 125 Supercross races back in the day. But David, when it comes to factory rides, Kyle Lewis always seemed to slip through the cracks.
You know, and I'm scratching my head a little bit as to why that is. And I thought maybe it's just because he's a little bit older and they're looking for a young guy that with a little bit different work ethic, but he's proved them wrong. He's lasted all this time. LaRocco making easy work out of Hamlin. He's got a little bit more power than Hamlin does. And you see Hamlin right there because of that coming up a little short there on the big gulp double jump. And Lewis, though, I'm impressed with the fact that he's stuck with it. He came back from those titles in Japan and really having a great season outdoors this year.
When we return, it's Carmichael, Lewis, and Mike LaRocco at Budds Creek.
The biggest names in motocross and off-road racing have an even bigger name under them, Suzuki. Do you want to be the next big name? Get on a Suzuki RM or DRZ today.
Hi.
How you doing? What? You hungry, boy?
Need a new way to wax? Introducing Eagle One Wax As You Dry. Just wash, spray it on a wet car, and dry to an amazing shine. Wax As You Dry from Eagle One.
They've been called a dream team, a gas to watch. Tony Kornheiser, Michael Wilpon.
This is the best show on television.
Pardon the interruption. 5:30 Eastern weekdays on ESPN. And again at 7 on ESPN2.
Sunday, a supercharged night of baseball on ESPN. At 7, the exclusive announcement of the team rosters, the All-Star Selection Show. At 8, the Mets take the Subway Series to the Bronx. Sunday night, starting at 7, only.
Can anybody tell us why smoking isn't stupid?
Remember when life was as uncomplicated as who went first on the slide? With Adelphia Long Distance, those days are here again. 8 cents a minute, no fees, no access codes. Simpler is better. It always has been, and it always will be. 8 cents a minute, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Nothing could be easier. Adelphia. Simple, affordable, long distance.
Welcome back to Budds Creek, Maryland. You're watching Ricky Carmichael way out front here in the second 250 moto. Further back in the field, this is one of the guys that should be up there battling with him, Ezra Lusk, but instead he is back battling with privateer Damian Plotz. No offense to Plotz, but Lusk, just like Tortelli, just like Tim Ferry, not getting the starts with Ricky and riding at the wrong end of this field.
Yeah, it's just too bad that these guys cannot seem to put it together. It's always something. If it's a bad start, if it's not that, they crash, or they don't ride hard enough in the early going, or, you know, a bike problem. There's Tortelli, and then there's Ferry. That is unbelievable. Ferry has caught these guys. They don't have an excuse. Ferry's got a great one. We saw him go down and come from last. Now, here's Ezra Lusk. That was just smart. All the way around the outside, put him to the inside for a block pass here, but even with this pass and moving forward, Lusk going to be a little bit disgusted with this moto after such a strong third place in the first moto, and more problems.
Sebastian Tortelli down again. He is having an awful 250 outdoor campaign.
You know, at the top of the show, Carmichael was worried about him. And maybe he's just too worried about Carmichael right now. He's in the same pits with the guy this year, and Ricky's having all this success, and Tortelli knows he can beat him. He knows he's got the stuff and the bike, and it's just not coming together.
Let's go down to Cameron with Steve Lamson.
Well, guys, I found here on the sidelines a fast by Faraci Husqvarna, Steve Lamson. Steve, as a former national champion, how frustrating has this year been? Injuries, and now it seems like a bike problem here as you're trying to come back.
Yeah, I've been pretty disappointed, you know, but the injuries and then coming back a little too early. Now I'm back going again, and I had a mechanical failure the first moto, and then something happened in this moto also. So I'm kind of bummed out, but I'll just put my head down and keep working with these guys and make the best of it.
Well, a frustrating day for Steve Lamson, but I tell you, we all love Lammy, and he will be back.
Now a little further back in the field is Robbie Raynard, another X-Factory rider. He's shown some flashes of brilliance here, but today, David, just not on that same pace that we saw at High Point.
Now, a couple of fourths at High Point, and if things go the way they're going, he may end up with a pair of sevenths here, and that's a little ways off the pace for him, but a lot better than last week at Southwick.
Well, Tim Ferry's putting on a fine exhibition of coming through the pack, but it's just a shame that he's gone down. But I tell you what, the way Tim Ferry's riding, I want to be the first guy to give him my vote to be on Team USA at the Motocross of the Nations.
I'll second that. That would be a great pick to have him on there, and they could just make that an all-Florida team and have Carmichael, Ferry, and Stewart. Because I think this whole ride what you brung deal, don't even get me started on that. I think this is the stupidest rule. It'd be great to see him have Stewart on the 125 and have us still win that title.
Now back to the battle at hand. Kyle Lewis in second, and he is having just a wonderful moto. He's holding off Mike LaRocco. Now Lewis has finished on the podium in a national before. You have to go all the way back to 1995. He's riding for Clark Jones in the No-Lean Yamaha team. He got third at Washougal. And last week at Southwick wasn't very far off the place, but right now running in second with Tim Ferry further back in the pack, he could finish on the podium.
He's got to hold off LaRocco. Even if he doesn't, it looks like he's still going to end up on the podium, but he's got a battle coming. He knows it. LaRocco's been inching up on him little by little, but he dealt with him in the first moto. He had a chance to check him out from behind and study his lines, and maybe he's got a little something up his sleeve here for the end this time.
And here's a couple lapped riders that are following your second and third place riders, and that's a ways back to Sean Hamlin in fourth, then comes Lusk at fifth, and then Ferry dead last to sixth. You got to be thinking right now that Tim Ferry is just wishing he'd not tipped over that first turn.
Oh, of course. But you know what? The same thing I talked about that I liked he was doing the first moto, charging all the way just to make sure that Ricky couldn't just get that gap and rest. He's riding hard with this. I mean, you know, I wouldn't blame him if he just kind of dialed that intensity knob back just a little bit and just did okay, saying, hey, I was last. What do you expect? He wants to pick up every possible position he can and really get a solid grip on second to points.
I'll tell you what, I think it's because once upon a time Tim Ferry was a privateer, so he knows that every second he gets to spend on a factory bike, he's going to work his butt off, and that's why so much should give Kyle Lewis a chance. But that's enough for my soapbox. Now, here comes Hamlin doing his best to hold off Lusk. As you see Ernesto Fonseca watching his teammate Ricky Carmichael out front and in control at Budds Creek.
Hey, how's it going? Need a ride?
No, I need to make a call.
Well, if you're gonna make a collect call, dial it in the center with 1-800-CALLATT. It's free for you, cheap for them.
Cool.
Watch this one-handed. Extreme!
Save on every call. Use 1-800-CALL-ATT for collect calls.
What some people will do for the freshness of laundry dried in the cleanest breeze. Introducing a new scent from Tide, Tide Clean Breeze. Perhaps the cleanest scent you can get without the commute. New Tide Clean Breeze, also available in Downy.
Long ago, when the gift of fire came to Earth, the first keepers of the flame emerged. They were the ones who nurtured it and preserved it, and they passed this learning along. And so, the tradition continues. The flame burns on, at least for another 10,000 years. Char-Royal, keepers of the flame.
People everywhere are discovering the power of cheap tickets. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can find airfares up to 40% off on the web or on the phone. Airfares you can't find anywhere else. Cheap tickets, the best kept secret in travel for over 15 years.
It's the 10th annual ESPY Awards, hosted by Samuel L. Jackson.
We're gonna have a funky good time.
It's so much fun.
With live performances by Snoop Dogg, Bootsy Collins, the original P-Funk, and Carlos Santana. Wednesday, July 10th, 9 p.m. on ESPN.
Speed World's presentation of AMA Motocross is brought to you by Honda, the company that defines performance in motorcycles, ATVs, and scooters. Honda, performance first. And by Suzuki, maker of innovative motorcycles and all-terrain vehicles. Back to Budds Creek for the Yamaha National, and Ricky Carmichael continues to ride around by himself.
He got a little sideways coming out of that corner now. That's the only flaw I found. His jersey's still tucked in this moto, but he did get a little sideways. There you see the gap. Clear back over to that straightaway. They've got this left, the right, over the jump to where Ricky is. That gives you an idea of the lead he has, and he's just on cruise control now. These guys are not. They're riding as hard as they can go.
And there comes Larocco up on the inside, but he just can't quite outpower Lewis. And right there he goes inside. Classic Larocco block pass.
Well, you know, he's older, he's craftier, but you know, you can't say that Lewis isn't. He's been around the world. He's probably speaks a little Japanese after all those years over there winning those titles, and he knows those kind of moves, but Larocco really snuck in there on that one. I didn't even see that coming.
And Larocco may have even surprised him, because Mike Larocco, having just come back off that wrist injury, couldn't even go both motos at Southwick, and then he shows up and he's running second at the end of this second moto here at Budds Creek.
Yeah, I think there's no question now that he has the stamina at least to go pretty good here. He should be in a few weeks at Redbud, would be considered his home track, pretty strong. If he can get some starts with Carmichael, he might be able to give him a go there. Dives to the inside. Kyle's just trying to make up his mind and figure out what to do right there. He just chose the wrong berm and left the door open a little bit for Larocco. And if you do that, he'll ride right through there.
It wasn't even that much of a block pass when you look at it again. He just got to the corner first.
Yeah, it was just a little bit more aggressive. He thought ahead, and he disguised that move leading into it and kind of faked Kyle out. Now Ferry putting the move on Lusk.
Nice inside out, and he gives him a little love tap there. Ferry going inside out in the off camera, pushes Lusk down to the bottom, and just like that, Ferry is now up to 4th place.
Not too much love in that tap. He threw him down that off camber, but you know, Lusk was cruising around. I mean, That's just what he gets. He's been cruising around, it looked like to me. And all of a sudden, Ferry gets up there and starts pushing him, and he picks up the pace. And if he had picked up the pace a long time ago, he wouldn't be in this situation. I watched this little bit of it wasn't much. It didn't even look like they hit.
I told you it was love.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Looking at it from that angle, Ferry, he just did what he had to do. Got to the berm. Ow.
Carmichael coming down hard on that Honda. Speaking of Carmichael and the Honda, David, where are all the Honda haters? When Ricky switched from Kawasaki, everyone was like, yeah, terrible, bad thing, but now the guy can't be beat.
Well, he just needs something to boo about and something to get excited about. And I don't think they were really ready to let go of having Jeremy win all the races and be the king, but that crown of Jeremy's has been taken away. This kid owns it. And, you know, when you look at hard work and aggressiveness and just flat out winning, no matter what the conditions all the time, they have a saying for that. If you can't beat him, join him. And all that people have now for this kid is respect, and I'm one of them.
Ricky Carmichael on his way to what would be his 10th straight moto win here to start the 2002 AMA Chevy Trucks U.S. National Motocross Championships. Just a flawless ride. This is the last lap, and he's still charging.
The way he went through that off camera, he got punted completely up off the motorcycle. He just climbs right back onto it. Power wide open, doesn't lose any time. He's just aggressive all the time, and that in itself is fun to watch, whether it's smooth and beautiful or not.
Look at that. No tricks, no nothing, just a nod and a wave to the cameraman at the finish line. And Ricky Carmichael has himself a record. The fastest start ever in 250 motocross, 10 straight moto wins. Now, back to the bow for second. Lewis has not given up on Mike LaRocco. The two Hondas running second and third, and it's not that far behind him. Look at Tim Ferry. He has caught all the way up to him.
I think that's part of the reason Lewis is staying glued to LaRocco. He wanted to stay with Mike, but at the same time he's going, I don't want to lose another position, so these three are in a battle. Could be a drag race up the hill.
Here comes Ferry, and then Lewis on the outside. He's going to try to get, and he ran out of room, and LaRocco holds on for second. Tim Ferry will take fourth, and Kyle Lewis just got himself on the podium in the second moto here at Budds Creek.
I'm impressed with all three of those guys. LaRocco for hanging on with that risk, and Lewis for such a strong ride, and Ferry's comeback.
Sean Hamlin will end up sixth after that first moto. DNF Reynard seventh, Tortelli eighth, and Damian Platz holds on for a solid ninth. Let's go to Cameron with Ricky Carmichael.
Well, guys, your champion here on the podium today is Ricky Carmichael. He's a happy dude. He's just tied Bob Hanna for the best start ever in 250 moto wins. Ricky, a great day stomping everybody once again.
Thanks a lot. I tell you, man, I felt awesome out there the second moto. I got a whole shot again. I tell you, the Dunlop tires were hooking up off the concrete. We made an adjustment to my bike, and the thing was phenomenal out there. I could turn it wherever I wanted to, and man, it's awesome to win the first 10 motos.
Well, right on. You're amazing, Ricky Carmichael. Thanks. This guy's won them all so far, just stomping them all as he goes. And Ricky, I look forward to the next race to see if you can keep it going.
I hope so. You know, Tortelli rides really good there, and I'm on his bike, so I think I have an advantage this time.
Right on. Well, that's it from the podium here. Back up to you guys. It's been a great day here at Budds Creek.
Well, definitely a great day for Carmichael, and that doesn't bode well for his competition. The fact that he's making changes to the bike between motos, but the result's the same. LaRocco with a fine 4-2 effort for second overall, and Tim Ferry places third. Looking at the point standings, Carmichael, a perfect score of 250. He has an entire race on Tim Ferry and 69 points on Sebastian Tortelli. Take a look at some upcoming dates. For more information, log on to usmotocross.com. For David Bailey and Cameron Steele, I'm Davey Coons from Budds Creek saying so long. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more information, log on to espn.com. There it is, Danny Smith, his first ever moto win. In what has turned out to be a wild and wacky 125 National Motocross campaign, the stars lined up right for Team Suzuki's Danny Smith at round 4 in Southwick. After tragedy struck his family, the likable Smith went out and won the first AMA National of his career. This is just unbelievable. Danny Smith has been through a really tough couple of weeks. For everyone at the race, including his family and even his closest competitors, it was a day to share in celebration. Danny Smith's win, accompanied with Moto DNS by series points leader Chad Reed and rookie sensation James Stewart, allowed Smith and Honda's Ernesto Fonseca to climb back into title contention. So here we go again. It's time for another action-packed adventure in U.S. motocross.